Hello, everyone. This is Mark Anthony with Edge on Regen Show, the place where we bring you the best of the best doctors in their niche and in their area. I'm excited today. We have a special guest, and not just a special guest, but we have a niche that I have never spoken about. I like things that are a little bit different, that can keep me on the edge, no pun intended, edge. But we have Dr. Mark Boles here with eastshorehealthcare.com, eastshorehealthcare.com. You'll be able to find him. The beautiful thing that we're going to be talking about is facial threading. How many of you guys ever heard of facial threading? I know I haven't. I'll be honest with you. I'll be the first one. I'm not going to lie to you. And I have a cup of coffee. So to prove it. So with that saying is today we're going to be talking about facial threading versus plastic surgery. When I think of plastic surgery, I think of who's going to cut me? Not this face. We're good. But anyways, thank you so much, Dr. Mark Boles, for being here on the show.
Well, thanks for having me on there. Yeah, I agree with that. Nobody's going to touch my face either. So yeah.
Exactly. You look good the way you are. But besides saying how beautiful you look, Dr. Boles has been a doctor for 35 years. You can say it frontwards or backwards. It's 35 years. I love longevity. That means consistency. And that means with passion. So tell us a little bit about your story, how you got into facial threading. But before we do, what is facial threading and why do you do it?
Well, so I'm just going to tell you, say it like this. Probably about, 5 years ago, my wife came to me. Beautiful woman. We've been married for 44 years. And she came to me and she said, honey, look at my face. What can I do? Well, how do you answer that? When your wife says that to you, look at my face. What can I do? How do you answer that? Well, she was hoping I was going to put on my doctor hat, which I did. And, and she, at the time she was 60 years old. And like most of us, as we get older, life takes a toll on us, aging takes a toll on us. And so it's a very normal phenomenon for, things start to kind of droop forward a little bit, some more than others. And what we see with that droop is that, you'll start to see the formation of these, what they call marionette lines, which kind of give you a real sad look. The cheeks start to roll forward. You'll start to develop jowls, and that was kind of my wife at that point. She kind of had all three of those things. Again, had a real almost sad or just almost a pathetic look to her, and she and her jowls were so big, and I didn't tell her this, Mark, but she was starting to look like a chipmunk. Okay. Oh man. Yeah. Well, of course, when she said, "What can I do about my face?" or "What do you think?" I was real careful. Anyway, so the first thing that came to my mind was, just what we're talking about this morning. Facial threading. And what facial threading is, it's kind of a cool thing. It sort of sits in between, doing the dermal fillers, which everybody's heard about, and then plastic surgery. Facial threading is really good for that person that kind of sits in the middle. They want to do something. Maybe they've done some dermal fillers, but they're sitting there and they just want to do something more than what that offers. But yet they don't want to go for plastic surgery. They just don't want to have anybody, cutting on their face. So they do this facial threading. Facial threading's been around for probably 10 to 15 years at this point. I've been doing it for the last 3 years. I probably have done around 50 cases. And Mark, you could come back and say 50 cases doesn't sound like a lot. But it is. In the scheme of things, in the scheme of doctors and practitioners that are doing it, 50 cases a lot, because you won't find that many people that have done that many. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But basically what facial threading is that, think of it in terms of almost like a little fishing line. We take a small it's a dissolvable suture with these small little barbs on it. And basically we just slide it underneath the skin, grab a hold of those jowls, and we just pull those jowls back. Okay. Same thing with that marionette line, that sad look. This dissolvable suture slides underneath the skin. You grab a hold of where you're frowning and we pull that back. Okay. And that's as simple as it is. These things are dissolvable. So if you absolutely hated it, for whatever reason, and I don't know why you would hate it, because, we get rid of those gels. Why would you hate that? But if you didn't like it, they dissolve. And that's the beauty of the whole thing. When you talk about the dissolving, the reason why our faces start to droop, Mark, is because as we get older, we start losing collagen. And collagen is sort of the baseboard or the support for the skin. You start losing that support, and that's why everything rolls forward. And so as it rolls forward, what are we going to do? Well, if you go to any pharmacy, go to any dermatologist, there's always lotions and potions out there that claim to build collagen back, but very few, if any of them, actually will build that collagen back. So we need something that's going to build collagen. That's what the thread does. So the thread is the gift that keeps giving. When you do it, you notice an immediate improvement, but then after that, over the next 6 months to a year, they dissolve, and it's that dissolving process that creates collagen for us. Okay. And so we're manufacturing collagen to add to that support to our skin. Okay.
So are you saying that it only lasts 6 months and it's done?
Nope, I'm not saying that at all. That because what happens is that, as I said, you notice an immediate pull and then the formation of collagen. And so the effect from putting those threads in will last you anywhere from 18 months to 2 years.
Oh, wow,
okay.
that's good.
Then what happens is, again, life continues to go on, and so you continue to droop a little bit more. So it's time to do it again at that point. Okay, just because again life continues on. You could ask me, well, how about plastic surgery? That's a whole nother ball game with all the risk and whatnot involved. But these threads, it's a simple office procedure. It takes maybe 30 minutes to do it. You walk out and you're back on with your life at that point. And so when I say they last 18 months to 2 years, I mean, that's beautiful because again, there's just no risk here involved and it works.
Wow. So what is the price difference? I know that it depends. It depends on certain things, on how much work you're going to get done.
Well, so I'm
an average.
Yeah, I'm going to that by telling you about a patient real quick that we just saw. I had a 79-year-old woman come to us probably about 3 months ago. Came to us and she had gone to her plastic surgeon, 79 years old, and she says, goes to the plastic surgeon, and plastic surgeon says, I can do a complete facelift on you. I'm going to charge you $15,000 to do it. Oh, but the good news is it'll last you 5 to 10 years. And she looks at this guy and says, well, why would you be telling me it's going to last 5 to 10 years? Because I may not even be around in 10 years. I want something that works right now, that will stay with me, that's low cost. So she came to us, Mark, and what we did with her, we did a combination of facial threading, which really pulled everything back very nicely. And then we did a little bit of touch up using a little bit of Botox, using a little bit of filler. And her total price was $3,000 on that. And that was done about 3 months ago. This will probably last her at least 2 years, maybe 3 years. You could say, well, why not do the plastic surgery? And we're right back to what I had said, earlier, that with any kind of surgery, you run the risk. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I'm 46 years old, and I noticed, I've got a little something going on here. But what I've noticed also too is my eating habits. A lot of people don't like that, so I'd like to talk about that. I have a bread problem, so I'm working on not eating a lot of bread and so many French fries. So with that being said, not about me, but what I've noticed is I've looked at go plastic surgery, looking under the knife. And when I look at the pros and the cons, I would rather, even when I'm older, I would rather look at a facial threading. And the reason why is when you look at a lot of these movie stars, look at Michael Jackson. I mean, he had maybe one too many. But when you look at people like I think it was Kenny Rogers, he remember he had a really warm look, beautiful eyes, and then all of a sudden he looked like Ronald McDonald. Poor guy, it messed up on his face. And I'm seeing a lot of these people, even like Goldie Hawn, beautiful lady, and now it's like I don't even recognize her. It's sad because it becomes like an addiction. You get something done, and then all of a sudden it looks kind of good, but I needed a little bit more work. And then next, it's a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And next, people don't recognize you. And then a lot of people are losing their careers over it because that's how they make their money. But with that being said, I think that facial threading is great, and I like how you said, last between, 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 if you're pushing it. So does it hurt?
I'm going to say it like this. Very, very little. Basically what happens, we numb you up, for everything. You're literally sitting in the chair for 30 minutes. Okay. And when you walk in, we do a little bit of topical anesthetic, a little, little tiny pinch at the entrance point. That'll last less than a minute. Other than that, you're just laying there. I've got music playing in the background. You can probably tell already. I've got a million stories. So as I'm finishing my third or fourth story, I'm done with your threads. Okay. And so if you're going to ask me pain wise,
Wow. Wow.
it's yeah. If you're going to ask me pain wise, does it hurt? It's very, very little.
So
If it,
when I think of threads, I think of like you're sewing me. Or is it like, are you using like, so?
think of your smallest fishing line that you can think of. Okay. And so again, literally that just sort of slides underneath the skin real easily. It catches a hold down by where your jowls are, whatever you
Mhm.
want to do, catches a hold of that. And we pull that thread back up, clean it up a little bit. You don't even know that it's there. Okay. So when you think about suturing, there's no sewing, there's no suturing. It's just sliding the thread in, catching that jowl, pulling it back. Very simple. And that's that.
And how long would you say this procedure takes? So let's just pretend you have jowls to work with,
Yeah.
jowlers.
I mean, and again, I'm going to say, how long does it take? It depends on how much I feel like talking that day. Okay. But as I said earlier, I can be on my third or fourth story and I'm done with you. So it literally takes about
Wow.
30. Yeah, it takes about 30 minutes. You're in the office. As soon as we're done, you get up, we shake hands, you walk out, and that's the end of it.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty.
very harmless.
Yep. Very, I would tell you it's very harmless. People always ask, what type of, concerns or risks do you have? Generally what I tell people is I want you to go home afterwards, maybe do a little bit of icing because you can get a little bit of swelling, but you go home, put your feet up, you can eat your lunch, eat your dinner, you go to bed that night and back to work the next day.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yep.
And so how many facial threadings have you possibly done? Maybe 50,
Yeah.
100?
Yeah. So, as I was saying earlier, I have done, I think to date, 50.
Mhm.
And you can look at that a lot of different ways. Some people might say, gee, 50, is that all? To be honest with you, 50 is a lot with this procedure because, it just seems that people either, just want to stay at one level doing the dermal filler,
Right.
or they jump to the other side and they want to do the surgery. And so 50, not many people have done 50% of this threading. But the beauty of it all is this, is that threading really comes in for the person who's somewhere between 45 and 60.
Mhm.
They don't want to have any downtime. They don't want to have to take time off from work. They want to do something maybe on their lunch break. And so they've got enough going on in their face, but they don't want it to overtake their life. So they'll come in, and again, we can do it on your lunch hour and do it that quick. So although, like I said, 50 may not sound like a lot in the scheme of things, and people that are out there doing it, 50 is a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what would the downfall be of, was there anything, the downfall of facial threading whatsoever?
Yeah, and I believe, as we said earlier in the show, I've been doing medicine for about 35 years, and I'm of the mind that I think there's a downside to everything. In the right hands, which mine are, I believe, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit for that. But with the right hands, there's very, very little downside to it.
Mhm.
Yes, you can get bruising. And I can tell you a long time ago when I was trained to do this, the trainer said, "Oh, don't even talk about bruising because very few people get it." No, people get bruising like any kind of
That's
procedure.
normal.
Yeah, you can go have a tooth pulled and get some bruising.
Exactly.
But so you look at bruising, some people get it, some people don't. But again, we send you home and you wind up icing, your face for the rest of the day that day. You can have a little bit of discomfort with it later on. My wife, when she got it done, because we've actually done my wife twice, and 2 years apart, and she doesn't take anything, in terms of any kind of pain or discomfort.
Oh,
But if
wow.
if you need anything, about the most you would ever take would be Tylenol for it. I mean,
Oh, wow. So this is
yeah, it's just not
basic.
a.
This
Yep.
is almost
Um,
seamless. I love it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but again, you talk about bruising, maybe a little bit of bruising, maybe a little bit of swelling, maybe a little bit of discomfort, that kind of thing. But other than that,
Hmm.
and you're going to see, Mark, that I spend a lot of time talking to people about expectations.
Mhm.
The person that thinks they're going to come in and they're 60 years old and they think they're going to have threading done and look like they did when they were 20. That's not going to happen. Okay. But I talk to people a lot about expectation. The person that just wants to come in and get that little bit of tweaking done, just enough where, people, I'll tell you another quick story, Mark, real quick. I did my wife the second time for her threads, and we were out at the airport, and she was standing in line, and I looked at her, and this is the husband saying this about their wife. She was standing in line getting her ticket, and I looked at her, and I saw this beautiful jawline on her, which I'd never noticed before. We did the threading probably 3 weeks before. I looked at her and I thought, wow, look at her. And then I kind of went, whoa, wait a minute. How many husbands talk like that? Well, hopefully all of us do. But I looked at her and I like, wow, look at that. And so, but yeah, so you can see, I love threading because it's just low risk, it's effective, it works. As I said, the gift that keeps on giving. And so, it's just a simple, good thing to do.
I love it, and I love how the fact that you love your work.
I do.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I'm a people person. And if Mark, if next week you come in to let me do some threading on you, you will see when you ask me, how long does it take me to do this? And it depends on how much I'm talking that day, because I tend to talk a lot. I want you or any other patient that comes in, I want you to fully understand what I'm thinking. I want you to understand how this works, why it works, what we can get out of it. And so you'll see that I do tend to talk a lot because I want you as well informed as I am, if not more so. So
Wow. So you know what? I learned a lot today, and I'm sure our audience learned a lot today about facial threading. And of course, we'll be keeping the website updated, so you'll be seeing some pictures, hopefully, maybe possibly some videos. You never know. We'll see where we can go with that. But anyways, thank you so much, Dr. Mark Boles, for being here. And anyone that wants to see where Dr. Mark Boles is, you can go to eshorehealthcare.com, eshorehealthcare.com. And of course, you can, of course, call the phone number on the screen. Thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate you and your time.
thank you very much. Thank you.